solaced by this cruel world that I can watch a fucking movie and shed a couple of tears, or I can fucking see a fucking baby bird get fed by its mother or whatever in just such a way that's just like beautiful, man. Like,
well, this is some of the things that like some of my favorite Terrence McKenna talks are when he got diagnosed with that brain tumor, right? And they're like, you're gonna die in a month unless we do this crazy invasive surgery on your head that might kill you. There's like a 90% chance it's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
So he went ahead with the surgery and he survived.
Right.
And then they said, now you got another like 7 months.
Yeah.
But so it was inevitable, right?
Yeah.
But he gained like a month versus 7 months. Great. Yeah. So he has plenty of time to, say goodbye to it. Yeah, absolutely. And he was just saying things like, the sight of a caterpillar crawling across a blade of grass would bring him to tears.
Yeah. And
some of those words that he spoke while he was those words that were informed by his imminent death were just some of the most moving things he's ever said to me.
Yeah.
It's all that other shit is just trivial. All his crazy theories about what existence might be about and the whole novelty pinnacle thing that he talked about. It's just, that shit's just, it's just fun speculation.
Yeah.
Compared to the fact of death. That's the shit that really humbles.
Yeah.
And it seems to me to be natural. It seems so natural that, especially if you can be lucky enough to have kids, to be like, here, son or daughter, you carry the torch now.
Yeah.
This is now for you, and I'm going to leave this world.
Yeah.
And that's how life is always new, because it's always new beings.
Yeah,
and
totally.
if it was the same old fucking person that was born 1,000 years ago, it'd just be like, I've seen everything.
Yeah.
I've seen it all twice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what point is there, and people have fear that they're not going to be able to accomplish everything they want to accomplish before they die, but that's just part of accepting the fact of death, is that you have to go and push yourself in a direction that you feel personally inclined to go in.
Yeah.
As hard as you can, with all your might, like use all of your living will to live life to its fullest, knowing the whole while it could get all taken away at any moment.
Yeah.
And so it's this weird paradox of living life fully while wearing death on your shoulder the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of argue that you can't live fully unless you have death on your shoulder.
I think so too.
Because that just brings this rich quality to it where, same having a shitty as fuck day on the roof and my body's sore and everything sucks and I'm cooking in the heat and I'm burnt and I'm cut up and a million other things, but then just like a formation of birds fly past a set of clouds as the sun's setting, and it's just like,
deny that.
I'm still part of this grand process of life that I should be grateful for.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So when I was tripping in my room alone, just to tie it back to what spurred me onto this rant, was like, I was reading a lot of yoga texts, and I've kind of been studying yoga and its philosophy and its writings for the past few years.
Yeah.
And I was getting to this point where the last few books I had read just felt so hollow. It just, nothing spoke to me in it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a lot of like fancy terminology and just like regurgitating the same things that I've read before. And it's like just there are books written by Westerners who are just basically jumping right on the yoga train 100% and not thinking about it or asking questions or trying to figure any of it out. Just kind of preaching at you is how the books all felt, and I'm trying to think about what they're saying, and it's like, the fuck does this guy know about it?
Yeah.
And so then I was getting just confused by it all, because I was just like trying to find some sort of system that made sense to me in all that regard. But then when I was on mushrooms in my room, I was thinking about all this kind of thing, and I was like, oh, like, what do I do about the yoga philosophy or whatever? Especially because at the time I was seriously thinking about getting my training, which I still am, to teach yoga.
Fuck yeah.
But so I was like, can I be a yoga teacher if I don't like subscribe to all these ideas, and if I can't make sense of them and all this stuff? And so how you can kind of have this ongoing dialogue with a psychedelic. Yeah, it's like you can ask it questions and it gives you answers. Absolutely. Which that you can kind of do sober. I've learned.
Yeah, totally.
You can ask yourself questions and let what comes to mind.
Just let it naturally stew until
because you kind of know.
Bubbles up to the top. The answers will come. Yeah,
thank you. And so what bubbled up to the top, which could be me or could be the mushroom or could be me amplified by the mushroom or whatever it is. Yeah, it was just like no other human being or any other system of thought or philosophy or anything is ever going to completely fulfill you or make sense to you, because you are a completely unique individual that's never existed before. Yeah, absolutely. And it was just, it clicked. It felt so obvious. It's like, why am I looking for all the answers to my life in someone else's book? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. The best you can do is read a book, criticize it, analyze it, take in what's useful, and formulate a good argument against what you don't think is useful. Yeah. And and then move on.
Yeah, man.
You know? It's just, at the time I was really concerned with finding the answers. And
right, of course.
I realized that they're not going to be there. You got to live with the amount of things you don't know and will never know is going to immensely overshadow everything you do know and can know.
You'll never know.
So you have to just kind of live with that unknown. It's most of existence.
Yeah, The percent of things you know is not even on the scale of the percent of things there are.
Oh my god, we live on this little island that may as well be like a fucking rock in the ocean. And that's not even a good enough analogy. It may as well be an atom amidst the universe, you know?
Seriously.
Of what we know, because what we don't know is everything else.
We don't even know what the fuck's on our planet. We don't even know what the fuck's going on in the oceans, man. We don't know shit about the oceans, really.
I know.
We know like 0% about what's going on in the ocean. And there's fucking how many other planets in this one solar system?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. And most of them are way bigger than Earth, man. Like, that's a freaky thing to think about, man. Like, fucking big old planets like Jupiter and shit, Saturn and shit. Like, those are fucking...
Even some of these new super Earths are discovering.
Yeah.
They're like 8 times the size of Earth, but have water and shit.
And, like, it's so impossible to even, try to understand the size of the Earth alone. That's like an impossible task.
Yeah,
and then you huge. Show me another planet that's like eclipses Earth by like a fucking 1,000,000%. It's like,
I wonder if do you think that because the planet's bigger and theoretically might have more of everything because it's bigger, that like say there was some sort of intelligent life form that was humanoid-esque on another planet that was that size, do you think they would be correspondingly larger themselves too? That would be giants compared to us.
Ooh, that's cool.
Or they would
thought.
Or they would just be
with that.
normal sized, and then like people would have dreams of traveling the planet, but they never could because it was so huge.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Oh, you don't have the answer?
No. Let me Google it.
Wait, why am I listening to this podcast?
What?
I came here for answers. Why am I listening to this?
Yeah. Answers. There's so few of them. It's just amazing. That was one of the things, the ayahuasca shaman.
Yeah.
And this is another, because you talked about how you have this bond with people you've tripped with before.
Yeah.
It's like that was I did this ayahuasca ceremony in BC, and it was with one of my friends. But the rest of the people, there was only like 7 of us.
Right.
They were all people I was around for that experience and has never been around ever since. Mm-hmm. And I think about them, you know. I have a connection to them for sure, because we all shared this crazy time together in that yurt.
Yeah.
And then we had breakfast the next morning, and there was just such a real and somehow rather deep sense of camaraderie amongst each other, even though we hadn't even known each other for a full 24 hours yet.
Yeah, man.
It was just, and especially because the nature of the trip, the way the ceremony was set up, we would periodically go through... I can't remember what the word is, but we would all just explain what's going on for us and what we're wrestling with or what's going on in the trip. And so we all eventually just got to, me, I just kind of was right into it off the gate because I wasn't adverse to spilling the beans about what was going on with me.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I could fake it if I tried, because psychedelics just penetrate you.
Yeah, totally.
Beyond your control. And so I started crying like the first thing about whatever I was crying about at the time, and then the next council, everyone else started really going deep and crying about. Like, there was this one girl who was a scientist and doing her doctorate or something, and she's experimented on mice and rats a whole bunch, and she just had this huge breakdown of all the rats and mice she's killed. Yeah. And she was crying so hard about all of that stuff. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, and so we all just were sharing like such deep personal experiences that you can't help but come out of it with some sort of bond.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the bathroom, and do you want a beer or anything? Or?
Yeah, sure. I gotta get the opener though.
Oh my gosh. Gotta get the opener.
It's good soup.
Yeah, it is. I like soup potato.
What's that? Good. Yeah, it's honestly what it works.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Salty sweet.
Yeah. So warm. Line you with warmth.
Want me to fill up
It's
another
real
bag?
wintertime food.
Yeah, go for it. That's right. I forgot I left that on. It's a good idea.
Is it on 9 now?
8 or 9. whatever one it's on currently. I updated it. So do you know when everything's shaking down tonight?
He starts at 9.
Okay, shit. Because Dylan said you get back around 8. He's going to a jam.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll have to check Reddit, find a stream or whatever.
Yeah. I'm sure there will be a decent one. You see the World versus USA?
Yep.
Not super competitive.
3-point shootout.
Yeah. Hopefully the All-Star game is better than that.
Yeah, I hope so, man. Yeah. It's always fun to watch, but it was definitely like
When you like
Bogdanovich took like back-to-back like almost half quarters and made both. Like
yeah. And then just like the dunk contest at the end and stuff.
yeah.
It's cool to see, but it's a game.
Yeah. Exactly. We got the All-Star contest, or we got the fucking dunk contest and the 3-point shootout because those are fun little extra ones.
Yeah. When you do something sick, but nobody's playing defense, it's like I know that isn't that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a. You got some shitty knobs around here.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We have a really shitty knob.
Real shitty knob place.
Brandon, or are you talking to
I'm talking to him about him. I'm talking about doorknobs.
Alright, now I'm talking to Taran about what he said about me, and I say that that's quite mean.
Oh, yeah?
And I tell Joe that it's a prank, and that he was actually talking about the doorknobs. And now I laugh, and I look and smile at everybody in the room individually.
I'm glad you added that last bit in the end.
You know?
Man, I can't wait till I get like the full camera microphone
Yeah,
with the podcast.
Absolutely.
There's some real good visuals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Visual gags. That's why I got a mustache, basically.
Dude,
It looks good.
when you were like dancing out super hard the chromosome.
Yeah.
Oh
Well, I
my
couldn't believe they
God.
played that song, honestly. I love that song, and I've been a big fan of Mike Stern since we went to see him that time, and I also, I did a feature piece where I did one of his solos or whatever, and so I really kind of, got into him pretty deep, and plus we played the Mike Stern tunes in the funk
You
band.
played that tune, didn't you? Or?
No, we did Scuffle and
Oh.
Upside Downside. Yeah. And fucking, boom. Bing,
Shout out to
bing,
Rick Wade Chesko at the
boom, bing,
NSCC Funk
boom,
Ensemble.
bing, boom, bing, 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 boom, bing, 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 boom, dim, boom, boom, bing, bing, boom, boom, bing, bing, boom, and boom, boom, bing, bing, boom, 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 bing, 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 boom, boom, bing, 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 bing. Hope you don't get copyright because my cover was so accurate to the actual song.
Yeah, someone's gonna hear that and sue me.
But yeah, anyway. But I recently just got into Chromosome. I just fucking heard it for the first time maybe a month or so ago.
Oh, really?
And I was like, fuck yeah, this song is awesome. And then they played it. I was like, oh! I was so stoked, man. So I had to dance it out.
Fuck yeah. Well, like I was saying, there's this whole other dimension to your humor that I was completely oblivious to, which is your chin.
Yep.
It's just,
Both of
just seeing that going
I can
on.
see the lower half of your face.
For everyone who doesn't know, Dylan has had a beard for a millennia.
I started growing it. I'm 24 years old, and I started growing it when I was 16. I probably had an actual, my full face was covered by the time I was 17.
And he's not the type of guy that's bad at growing facial hair either. You're definitely respectable.
Yeah,
you grow at a very respectable
I'm a pretty
rate.
average grower. I'm not crazy, but
No, shower.
I'm not a shower. I'm definitely in that respect as well. It's just the way she goes for me, but
Yeah. There you go.
I'm also a grower, not a shower in that respect as well.
It's great. It's great. When are you going to start doing stand-up comedy?
Oh, I don't know.
Have you thought about it?
I have thought about it. I've honestly been because not only do I just genuinely enjoy making people laugh, but I genuinely enjoy the art of stand-up comedy too.